All right, we're also tracking this word coming in to CTV from anonymous sources that some kind of a framework may be in place for a deal between Canada and the United States, an economic deal, possibly a security deal. We know it comes after months of an ugly feud triggered by President Trump once he became president, once again targeting Canada's economy, our sovereignty, targeting Canadian steel and aluminum, the car industry, and on it goes. The possibility, anyway, of some kind of a framework that's trading hands. Let's bring in our senior political correspondent, Mike Couteur, who's standing by in Ottawa with this breaking news. Mike, what are you hearing? What do we know? What are you seeing? Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, essentially government sources that are speaking to us anonymously because we are giving them that type of protection, telling us that, yes, a framework has been trading hands between the two sides, Canada and the United States, looking at that type of security and economic deal, something that Prime Minister Mark Carney has spoken a lot about, trying to get this done as soon as possible. And as you had mentioned, targeting steel and aluminum tariffs, as well as a number of other tariffs that continue to be levied on Canada and a number of our products. Now, this is something that has been worked on ever since the two did meet in the Oval Office. And of course, we've also reported, and we have also had confirmation from the Prime Minister's office, that the two men have been speaking on their own as well. Finalizing of such a deal, though, as we understand it, would require the sign-off of U.S. President Donald Trump. We also know that he is trying to do a number of these deals. He has very proudly said that a number of countries were lining up to try and do deals with him. But what's interesting in all of this, Todd, is that yesterday on Power Play with Vassy Capello, she spoke with John Bolton, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and he cautioned Canada on popping champagne corks anytime soon. And the reason, he said, is a reminder that, yes, that they had struck a deal with the United Kingdom in terms of lowering the tariffs. But he also said, as of that time, those tariffs were at the same level as they had been when they were first announced. So the implementation is something else that takes a bit of time. And also, he said, you have to remember that U.S. President Donald Trump is someone that likes to announce that a deal has been struck without all of the details really being finalized. So this is something, I think, that is a check-in that we are seeing right now in terms of the negotiation and how the two sides continue to exchange this. And I think there is pressure on both sides, and both sides do want to make some sort of deal, Canada especially, as we continue to sort of march towards July 1st. And I know that Prime Minister Mark Carney is looking to try and do something before Parliament rises. That is expected on June the 20th as well. So there continues to be pressure on the Canadian side, but I think that the American side would also like some sort of deliverable, some sort of good news to put in the window as well. So it seems like those contacts and those talks continue to intensify as we go here, Todd. It's
so crucial, isn't it, Mike, to come up with some kind of a deal, whether we are angry or not these days with the U.S. We need them economically. There's no two ways about it. And so the possibility of, talks and getting closer to a deal is at least positive momentum, perhaps.
Yeah, and this is something that I'll think back to when we were first covering the renegotiation of NAFTA, and those were happening in different cities, in Ottawa, I know, having gone to Montreal, and then there were talks in D.C. There was, what was once termed as there was one term that was coined, rampant incrementalism. And this is the type of thing that happens. Every little movement of the ball down the field, if you want to use a bit of a football analogy, seems like it's a big deal. Now, it may not be something of getting it over the goal line just yet, but certainly the fact that there are talks, and as you had mentioned, how intertwined we are economically with this partnership with the United States, that's why there is this impetus. That's why there is this type of pressure to make sure that it happens. And I think that's why so many people, not only in the business community, but in the political realm as well, are looking at this so closely. And any bit of progress is good news. And I think that that's why a number of people are looking at this as a good sign today.
Mike Couteur with the very latest. Good to see you, Mike, as always. Thank you.